Imagine a theater with 180 chairs. Every ticket is sold. Then the theater quietly sells for more. That sounds like fraud. On an airplane, it is a normal business decision. Airlines routinely accept more reservations than there are seats, knowing that on a bad day every passenger may arrive. When that happens, the gate agent is left trying to buy back something the airline has already sold, your place on the flight. It looks like chaos, but behind the crowded gate is a surprisingly precise calculation, one built around a product that becomes worthless the second the aircraft door closes. An airline seat is one of the most perishable products in the economy. A store can sell yesterday's inventory tomorrow. A hotel can discount an empty room at the last minute. But once a flight pushes back, an empty seat can never be sold again. The plane still needs pilots, cabin crew, fuel, airport slots, maintenance, and almost the same amount of work whether seat 22 is occupied or empty. So the airline faces an unusual problem. It must decide how many promises to sell before it knows how many customers will actually appear. Some passengers cancel, some miss a connection, some arrive after the gate closes, others hold flexible tickets and change plans. The pattern is not random noise to an airline. It is data, route by route, departure by departure, fare by fare. If the forecast says several booked passengers probably will not board, stopping sales at the physical seat count almost guarantees that the aircraft leaves with empty inventory. Overbooking is the attempt to sell those predicted empty seats before they disappear. Suppose a flight has 180 seats. Based on similar departures, the airline expects 4 booked passengers not to arrive. It might accept 184 reservations. This is only an illustration. Real systems use far more variables, but the bet is simple. If 4 people fail to appear, 180 passengers board and the aircraft leaves full. If 5 fail to appear, 1 seat is still empty. If only 3 fail to appear, the airline has 1 passenger too many. The airline is balancing 2 costs. On one side is spoilage, the revenue lost when a seat leaves empty. On the other is oversale cost, compensation, rebooking, hotel rooms, employee time, and the anger created when a customer cannot travel as planned. The ideal overbooking limit is not the number that fills every flight. That would create too many failures. It is the number where the expected value of 1 more reservation is just barely greater than the expected cost of getting the forecast wrong. This is why 2 flights using the same aircraft may have different limits. A Monday morning business route, a holiday flight to Orlando, and the last departure of the night do not carry the same risk. The next available flight matters. Customer behavior matters. Even the cost of a mistake matters. Airlines are not really selling the same chair twice. They are selling a forecast about whether each claim on that chair will be exercised. When too many people arrive, the forecast has failed. But the system has one more tool. The gate becomes a tiny marketplace. On flights departing from the United States, an airline must first ask for volunteers before it involuntarily denies boarding. The first offer may be a voucher. If nobody moves, the offer can rise. A passenger with a flexible schedule may value the seat less than the airline values getting it back. That trade reveals something the booking system could not know. 2 people may have paid the same fare, but one is traveling to a wedding, and the other is happy to wait 3 hours in exchange for several $100s. There is no United States regulatory ceiling on what an airline may offer a volunteer, and passengers can negotiate. Economically, the airline is running a reverse auction, increasing the price until someone agrees to sell the reservation back. This pressure release valve is why an oversold flight does not automatically produce an involuntary bump. The latest United States data show how rarely the final failure occurs and how often volunteers absorb the shock first. From January through March 2026, the reporting United States airline networks carried just over 203 million passengers. They recorded 75,738 passengers who voluntarily gave up a seat in an oversale situation. Another 5,599 were denied boarding involuntarily. That equals 0.28 involuntary denied boardings for every 10,000 passengers, roughly one for every 36,000 people in the dataset. For an individual passenger, that is rare. Across a system moving hundreds of millions of people, it still creates thousands of very real disruptions. And the average hides major differences. The risk depends on the airline, route, time of day, available alternatives, and the exact reason capacity disappeared. Overbooking is therefore neither a constant disaster nor a harmless trick. It is a large-scale optimization system whose errors are concentrated on a small number of customers. Paying hundreds, or occasionally thousands of dollars to recover a seat sounds expensive. Why not avoid the risk entirely? Because the airline does not compare one extra ticket with one dramatic payout. It compares the value created across thousands of departures with the total cost of the smaller number of forecasts that go wrong. Imagine that conservative overbooking places just one additional paying traveler on many flights that would otherwise leave with an empty seat. Those gains repeat every day. Compensation is paid only when attendance exceeds the forecast and no volunteer accepts a lower offer. The calculation also includes future damage. Anger has a cost. Bad headlines have a cost. A customer who never returns has a cost. That is why a mathematically profitable policy can still be strategically foolish if it pushes too aggressively. The model is not simply sell as many tickets as possible. It is sell until the next reservation creates more expected risk than expected value. The difficult part is that the revenue is spread quietly across the network, while a single failure can be filmed, posted, and seen by millions. Passengers often hear the word confirmed and assume it means a particular physical seat is now untouchable. In practice, the ticket is part of a contract of carriage. Airlines publish boarding priorities and conditions that govern what happens when capacity is short. Check-in time, fare class, and frequent flyer status may affect who is selected, as long as the policy is not unlawfully discriminatory. Capacity can also shrink without intentional overselling. A smaller aircraft may replace the original one. Weight and balance restrictions can reduce the number of passengers. A seat may be needed for an air marshal or operational crew. These distinctions matter because United States compensation rules are specific. A qualifying passenger involuntarily denied boarding from an oversold departure may receive 200 or 400% of the one-way fare, depending on the arrival delay, with current caps of $1,075 and $2,150. But exceptions exist, and rules differ outside the United States. The useful lesson is not to memorize one payout. It is to know that volunteering is a negotiation, while an involuntary bump may create legal rights. Airline overbooking feels uniquely unfair because it exposes a hidden asymmetry. The passenger experiences a promise, a specific trip at a specific time for a price already paid. The airline manages a probability distribution, the chance that this passenger and every other passenger will arrive before the door closes. Both views are rational. They simply collide at the gate. Without overbooking, more aircraft would leave with empty seats even while other travelers wanted to fly. With too much overbooking, the airline transfers its forecasting error to the customer least able to absorb it. The system works when predictions are conservative. Volunteers are paid enough to reveal who can change plans, and involuntary denials remain genuinely rare. It fails when the spreadsheet forgets that every data point has somewhere to be. So the next time a gate agent asks for volunteers, you are watching more than a travel inconvenience. You are watching an expiring product, a prediction model, and a live auction collide in the final minutes before departure. That is the business beneath your boarding pass. If you like seeing the business logic hidden inside ordinary things, subscribe. Next, we are opening up the strange economics of the printer sitting on your desk.